Chapter 1. A management meeting was called. My wife's secretary, Secretary Miller, was checking identities at the conference room door. She greeted everyone entering with beaming smiles, but when it came to me, she just sneered. I frowned and presented my network security manager ID badge, but she didn't even glance at it. "Engineer Clark," she scoffed. "Miss Ashworth took pity on you, made you a manager, and now you really think you're somebody?" Ignoring her, I dialed the president's private line. "Someone here is saying my position was given out of pity. Is that true?" "It's just a trivial matter, don't worry about it. I'm busy, gotta go." Vivian Ashworth's tone was cold. I could tell she was heading this way. Secretary Miller obviously heard the call too, rolling her eyes dramatically before finally letting me in. I thought the initial slight was over, but as soon as I entered the conference room, everyone avoided me like the plague. Wherever I sat, within seconds, people nearby would move away. I raised an eyebrow but didn't let it bother me. My relationship with them had always been strained. I was used to the whispers and pointed fingers in the company. I didn't care. "Thank you all for attending this management meeting. Since Miss Ashworth hasn't arrived yet, I'll make a brief opening statement on her behalf," Secretary Miller began, presiding over the meeting. It started normally with business adjustments, position changes, and other issues. I listened, bored, occasionally glancing at my phone screen. Due to the company's revenue decreasing by 3% this quarter compared to the last, the board believes reasonable budget cuts are necessary. As she said this, I noticed everyone looking at me with schadenfreude. It felt bizarre. Secretary Miller then looked directly at me. "Sincere Clark, the network security department will be dissolved first. You haven't generated any profit for the company over the years, and you're the only one in the department anyway. What's the point of keeping the sign up while you just coast along, waiting to die? It reflects poorly on our company." Now I understood why everyone was acting strangely today. The absurdity made me question her. "Are you sure? Really dissolving my department?" Secretary Miller chuckled as if I couldn't comprehend plain English. At this point, some colleagues started kicking me while I was down. "Give it up, Sincere. Wasn't it clear enough? If you can't accept it, reflect on yourself. You've been playing on your phone since the meeting started. Disrespecting the secretary is disrespecting Miss Ashworth. Surely you know that?" Hearing this, I was momentarily speechless. I was looking at my phone to monitor the firewall data in real time, to prevent any viruses from breaching the company's core data while I'm occupied. How does that translate into disrespecting Miss Ashworth in your minds? Why were they talking such nonsense without understanding anything? Hearing my explanation, they shifted their attacks again. "What good is your monitoring? We never hear about any such dangers normally." "Exactly. Who knows what you're slacking off doing in your office every day? Suddenly acting diligent now? Stop pretending. It's just because Miss Ashworth is about to arrive." Looking at their hostile faces, I'd never realized so many people looked down on me. To think I'd be mocked one day precisely because the company had never been breached, the situation reminded me of an old internet joke about a programmer who deliberately created bugs so people would call him to fix them, just to avoid appearing idle. It was the exact same principle. Working diligently in silence apparently yields no good results. Since that was the case, I didn't need to be polite anymore. I slowly stood up, meeting each of their eyes. "Without me, this company would have gone under long ago. Who do you think you are, bossing me around now? Let me spell it out. The network security department is the most important department in this company, understand?" My words were met with even more scorn from Secretary Miller. "Who gave you the audacity to think you're so important? Miss Ashworth?" "Sincere Clark, don't be naive." Before I could say more, the conference room door opened, and someone snapped. Silence. Chapter 2. Vivian Ashworth strode into the conference room, clad in a designer business suit and high heels. The room fell instantly quiet. Secretary Miller quickly pulled out a chair for her, but Vivian didn't sit down immediately. Instead, she walked straight up to me, her tone extremely harsh. "Sincere Clark, stop fear-mongering. Your posturing only disgusts me more." I was taken aback. I had thought her silence was directed at the secretary, but apparently it was meant for me. Before I could respond, Vivian continued. I regret letting you join the company in the first place. I really don't understand why Grandpa insisted on having you, just a pretty face. Who do you think you're acting high and mighty with? Whose company can't survive without you? We had been married for 5 years after all. Nominally, husband and wife should maintain a facade of harmony in public. Her blunt face losing denigration shocked me, and my expression turned cold. 5 years ago, Elder Arthur Ashworth, leveraging an old family connection, had asked me to join Vivian's company as the network security manager. The company is at a critical juncture. Sincere. Thank you for lending a hand. Vivian's attitude had been excellent back then. Freshly returned from studying abroad, her face was still youthful and inexperienced. Later, Elder Ashworth had even played matchmaker, bringing Vivian and me together. I had fallen for her at first sight. Otherwise, given my personality, no amount of money could have persuaded me into an arranged marriage later on. Simply helping Elder Ashworth would have sufficed. At the time, I thought that even if Vivian didn't necessarily love me, she at least had some positive feelings and was willing to try. She initially said we should just see how things go, and that trial period lasted 5 years. As time passed, she forgot my silent contributions. Looking at her indifferent face, I spoke gravely. If you want to dissolve the network security department, fine. First, go ask Elder Ashworth for permission. If he nods, I'll agree. I came to Ashworth Industries because of the relationship between Elder Ashworth and my grandfather, not because of anyone present here. Upon hearing this, Vivian's face flashed with guilt before she blustered defensively. What? Are you trying to use Grandpa to pressure me? Is wielding power all you know? I really don't know what Grandpa saw in you, insisting you come here, only for you to become a freeloader in the company. I looked at Vivian, unable to see any trace of the woman she once was. At this point, the other colleagues couldn't sit still either, urging me to leave. Aren't you going to leave already? Miss Ashworth has spoken sincere. You're an adult. No need to cling on like this, right? Why make things so ugly? Can't we part amicably? Sincere, let's act like a man. Stop dawdling. I was initially confused, but seeing this particular group chime in, understanding dawned. If I remembered correctly, there were rumors these few had colluded on kickbacks, secretly making illicit money. The one leading the mockery earlier had also previously approached me, subtly testing if I'd falsified data, which I flatly refused. I hadn't connected the dots then, but it all made sense now. It seemed that around that time, people in the company started viewing me as an outsider, and I began facing constant opposition. So it was these troublemakers all along, and Vivian was still naively trusting them. I had no idea what she learned studying abroad. I turned to the one who called me clingy, ready to expose them. His name was Harrison, if I recalled correctly. Director Harrison, just because I didn't help you cook the books or set up those websites, there's no need to be so ruthless, is there? And Director Anderson, Director Thompson, you've been eager to get rid of me from the start. Whose toes did my network security department step on? Chapter 3, hearing I was about to expose them. Their faces instantly became unnatural, but Vivian seemed oblivious. Director Harrison was the first to react, putting on a brave front, his tone vicious. What baseless accusations are you making? When did I ever talk to you about that? Do you have any proof? Vivian, completely missing my warning, frowned with even more impatience. Are you going to slander loyal contributors on your way out, you waste? I sneered back. Loyal contributors? Which of those standing up now are loyal contributors? At this, the men's faces turned uglier. I pressed on. Director Anderson, that exorbitantly expensive watch on your wrist isn't something you can afford on your salary. Is it, Director Thompson? Didn't you just buy a waterfront penthouse in the city? And Director Harrison, didn't you just send your kid to study abroad recently? Director Thompson slammed the table, furious and flustered. You're spitting venom. I've been in this position since the company was founded. If I'm not loyal to the company, who are you to run some broken network security department? How could you say such things? I've dedicated myself to this company for years. Everything I have, I earned. My conscience is clear, Director Anderson added coldly, still defiant. Seeing their stubborn denials, I let out a derisive laugh. Vivian didn't know that without me, Ashworth Industries would have been carved up long ago. The small amounts they embezzled were possible only through loopholes left by the previous programmer. I had discovered and patched those vulnerabilities long ago. Otherwise, how could this pampered heiress sit here, having everything handled for her, merely signing off on business matters, and arrogantly telling me to get lost? The company faced threats from within and without, yet she sat in the president's chair, oblivious to the world. Forget the past 5 years. Just in the last 6 months, rival companies had attempted network intrusions multiple times, only to be silently repelled by me. I submitted reports, but she never paid attention. Vivian once told me I just needed to be a figurehead at the company. But honoring my promise to Elder Ashworth, I deployed my top-tier code. It was partly to repay his kindness. Now that Elder Ashworth was unwell and uninvolved in business, Vivian dropped her pretense? Did she think she could rule Ashworth Industries single-handedly? My fists clenched tightly, making cracking sounds. After a moment I spoke, looking directly into Vivian's eyes. "Vivian, I'll ask you one last time. Are you absolutely sure you want me to leave?" Vivian seemed startled, having likely never seen me speak to her with such intensity. She hesitated for a moment before regaining composure. Yes, seeing this, I lost any remaining desire to warn her further. She would eventually suffer the consequences of her own actions. The directors beside her were still clamoring for me to leave, and Vivian's disgust was palpable. "Sincere Clark, I advise you to leave voluntarily. The company doesn't need someone like you who draws a salary without doing any work, and don't you dare go complaining to my grandfather. If you do, I'll despise you forever." Chapter 4. I forcefully suppressed the inferno of anger within me, gritting my teeth as I responded. "Don't worry, I haven't sunk that low, Vivian. I just hope you don't regret this decision someday." But even though I assured her I wouldn't, Vivian remained suspicious. I deliberately removed my ID badge and slammed it onto the conference table in front of everyone. As I turned to leave, Vivian suddenly called out to me. For a fleeting moment, I thought she had come to her senses. Instead, she delivered another blow. "Since you've laid everything bare, I won't pretend anymore either. Let's get a divorce, Sincere Clark. I have never loved you in all these years." Hearing this, I let out a self-deprecating laugh. Rest assured, I'm not conceited enough to think otherwise. Her decision was within my expectations. How could Vivian possibly believe I still had feelings for her after everything she'd done? Even if she hadn't brought it up, I would have filed for divorce tomorrow. We had been married for 5 years. But it was a marriage in name, only living together, but sleeping in separate rooms. Only putting on a show for Elder Ashworth. In our daily lives, we always went our separate ways. Before Vivian could speak again, the surrounding colleagues chimed in with flattery. "Miss Ashworth made the wise choice. Who knows what future there is with someone like him?" "Exactly, he's a waste, completely unworthy of Miss Ashworth." "Good thing it hasn't been too many years. No real harm done." Cutting losses quickly is best. Sensing her cold indifference, I turned back to face her. "Have you figured out how you're going to explain this to Elder Ashworth?" Vivian paused slightly at the question, then frowned fiercely. "None of your business, just get out now. I'll explain it to Grandpa myself." As she finished, a faint, almost imperceptible smirk played on her lips. Having known her for 5 years, I instantly understood what she meant. She was likely counting on Elder Ashworth's doting nature, had probably already found a replacement, and planned to present it as a done deal. The thought provoked a sarcastic remark from me. What's got you so happy? Found someone new already?" My words seemed to snap Vivian back to reality. The hint of a smile vanished, replaced by a glare. After a moment, she retorted, "It has nothing to do with you. Even if I have, he's definitely 100, 1,000 times better than you. What right does an employee about to be fired have to inquire about the company's future recruitment plans?" The colleagues nearby quickly agreed that Vivian's judgment would surely be impeccable. Certainly better than mine, the mere pretty face. "Just hurry up and leave. Why are you still lingering here shamelessly? Aren't you afraid of people laughing at such a wishy-washy man?" Secretary Miller urged, seemingly irritated by my very presence. Seeing this, I didn't want to argue further. I stated plainly. If I'm really leaving, I'm taking my proprietary firewall with me. It's my creation, I have the patent. I'm not leaving it for my successor to benefit from Chapter 5. Upon hearing this, the colleagues' faces filled with obvious scorn and disdain. Big deal. What's the use of that broken thing of yours? We never see it do anything. There are never any viruses attacking the company. It's useless junk to us, yet you treat it like a treasure. I remained silent, looking only at Vivian. She was the one in charge. Removing the firewall required her approval. Vivian's face showed clear hesitation. As management, she obviously knew more about the firewall's importance than the average employee. She hadn't expected me to be so absolute, perhaps initially just wanting to drive me away personally. Although she had suspected me of freeloading all these years, she hadn't doubted my basic programming skills. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been paying me for nothing for so long. She worried that the window of vulnerability created by removing the firewall today could be exploited by competitors. Vivian didn't speak, and naturally the other employees didn't dare say more, resorting to whispers. The atmosphere grew tense. No one moved. Just then, I sensed the conference room door open again. A man about my age, dressed sharply in a suit, walked in. He met my gaze, his attitude arrogant. "Sincere Clark, if you want to remove your firewall, then remove it once I'm here. The company won't need you." Seeing this man arrive, Vivian visibly relaxed, showing no hesitation towards me anymore. "All right, Sincere, you can leave now. I couldn't care less about whatever you wrote." Understanding dawned. I nodded, quickly pulled out my laptop and dismantled the firewall with a few swift actions. As lines of code flickered across the screen, the man watched my operations, scoffing loudly. "Is that architecture several years old already? I really don't know what you have to brag about. I could crack this firewall with a single layer of code." Hearing this, I finally looked up at him properly, my tone cool and slightly mocking. "Ah, fellow professional, you can even tell that." Before the man could introduce himself, Vivian stepped beside him, announcing proudly, "This is Ethan Garrett. He's a top network expert I recruited at great expense from San Francisco. He runs his own network security company there, specializing in firewalls far more advanced than anything you know." After typing the final command, I removed my hands from the keyboard, adopting a posture of listening intently. "Is that so? Mr. Garrett is so impressive. May I ask where you studied? Which top university's elite program? Or perhaps a renowned international mentor?" Ethan Garrett faltered, clearly unfamiliar with the schools and figures I mentioned, but his pride swelled even further. "I'm self-taught. I got interested back in college. What, are you upset that someone who didn't go to those fancy schools is better than you?" Faced with his taunt, I let out a meaningful, soft laugh. Not formally trained. I lost all desire to engage with him further. We weren't even in the same league. Vivian clearly sensed the subtext in my words and followed up Ethan's query. "Sincere Clark, what do you mean by that? Are you looking down on Ethan?" I gave a slight internal shrug, non-committal. Seeing the process complete on my laptop screen, I turned to leave. My question was just a probe to see if he was part of the inner circle. In our line of work, reaching a certain level grants insights others lack. The renowned masters all know each other. My graduate mentor introduced me to countless giants in the field years ago. Someone like Ethan Garrett wouldn't even qualify to meet me, let alone the others. Chapter 6 colleagues watched me pack my laptop, their faces filled with schadenfreude. Ethan turned to Vivian, vowing confidently, "Vivian, just leave everything to me. I guarantee I can write code that's better and stronger than his. People like him would have been obsolete years ago if the company hadn't been carrying him. I don't know why he's clinging on so desperately from his familiar address alone." Every sharp mind in the room understood their relationship wasn't ordinary. A faint blush crept onto Vivian's face as she nodded obediently. "I know you won't have any problems. You're the new network security manager." My hands paused while packing. Tired of listening to their sweet talk, I walked straight out. Just as I exited the company building, I heard someone call my name from behind. Turning slightly, I saw Ethan Garrett had followed me out, his smile dripping with provocation. "Sincere Clark, you figured out Vivian and I are close, haven't you? I hear she's remained untouched all these years with you. Thanks for taking care of my wife for me." "So?" My expression darkened. He continued, "But I suppose you're even now. Didn't she let you freeload off the company for years too?" His thanks came with a pointed jab at my perceived uselessness. "What did you say?" The anger I'd suppressed since entering the conference room instantly ignited at his words. I grabbed his collar, pulling him close, meeting his startled eyes fiercely. "Let me tell you, Ethan Garrett, without me, this company, hiring an amateur like you, is headed for disaster. My biggest regret is working for this bunch of ivory tower incompetents." With that, my fists clenched, knuckles cracking. After a tense moment, I released him forcefully, leaving him with a final warning. "I hope you don't regret this." I couldn't be bothered to cause more trouble. I wanted nothing more to do with anyone from this company. "Sincere Clark, what are you doing?" But as soon as the words left my mouth, Vivian cried out, rushing out in her high heels. And Ethan, the moment I let go, crumpled to the ground, pretending I'd pushed him, crying out in pain. Just because you can't accept it doesn't mean you can resort to violence. Slap before I could react. Vivian defended Ethan, striking me hard across the face. "Acting like this only makes me hate you more. You waste just because you're incompetent at your job. You resort to hitting people?" The blow snapped my head to the side. I tasted blood. Clearly, Vivian had put her full force into it. Seeing me silent, Vivian helped the groaning Ethan up, continuing her furious tirade. "People like you disgust me. Never show your face in front of me again. You're not even worth Ethan's little finger." She trampled my dignity underfoot. At that moment, any lingering hope regarding Vivian died completely. I took a deep breath and replied, "Fine then, let me tell you too, from now on, the survival of Ashworth Industries has nothing to do with me. Get lost, stop cursing my company. We'll never see each other again." Vivian waved me away dismissively, adding mockingly, "Who do you think you are? You think saying something about my company makes it true? What a joke." I forced a tight smile. I truly hoped she'd still be smiling later. Just then, a luxurious extended sedan abruptly stopped at the company entrance. As the door opened, an elderly man, white-haired but still radiating vigor, was helped out. He bellowed with surprising force, "Let me see who wants to drive Sincere Clark away." I was slightly stunned. Elder Arthur Ashworth? Chapter Vivian was just as surprised as I was, rushing forward to greet him. "Grandpa, weren't you at the nursing home?" Elder Ashworth showed no curiosity, addressing Vivian sternly. "Nursing home? If I were still there, you'd have already driven your own company into the ground. Apologize to Sincere Clark right now." Vivian couldn't believe his first words were a demand for apology. Elder Ashworth's sharp tone immediately provoked her rebellious streak. "Grandpa, I don't care who told you this, but why does it have to be Sincere? What if I insist on using Ethan?" Elder Ashworth frowned, his sharp eyes glancing at Ethan, who stood frozen nearby, not daring to breathe. He snorted contemptuously. "He is unworthy." His declaration left both Vivian and Ethan looking terrible. After a long moment, Vivian spoke, her face pale. "You're always like this, trying to control my life since I was little. Today I will use Ethan, not just because of his abilities, but also because I'm carrying his child." The bombshell stunned everyone present. Although my feelings for Vivian were gone, hearing her openly admit to infidelity still angered me. "You've been cheating with him all along? No wonder you were so eager to divorce me today." Elder Ashworth's eyes widened. He was even more furious than I was, striking the ground repeatedly with his cane. You have you no shame? How could I have a granddaughter like you?" Having confessed, Vivian adopted a reckless sort of openness. "I hope you can accept us, Grandpa. We truly love each other." "You expect me to accept you?" Elder Ashworth was almost speechless with rage. Vivian's resolve was clearly firm. I knew she planned to act first and deal with the consequences later, but I hadn't expected this. "You unfilial girl, how could you do something so disgraceful to the family name?" Elder Ashworth lunged forward several times, attempting to strike Vivian with his cane. "Mr. Ashworth, please calm down. I truly love Vivian." Ethan stepped forward, shielding Vivian. "You get out of my sight." Elder Ashworth gasped for breath. His assistant quickly brought an oxygen mask for him. Grandpa Vivian, her eyes red, tried to approach him out of concern but was held back by Ethan. "Don't call me Grandpa," Elder Ashworth snapped once he caught his breath. Just then Vivian's phone rang loudly. Distracted, she answered without turning off the speakerphone. Secretary Miller's frantic voice filled the air. "Miss Ashworth, bad news. Someone is attacking the firewall right now. It looks like it won't hold. The alarms are blaring." Vivian's face changed color, her voice cracking when she spoke again. "Why did it have to be today?" I inwardly sneered in agreement. "Yes, why today of all days?" Vivian glanced at me thoughtfully, looking lost. Ethan immediately stepped forward, perhaps wanting to prove himself to Elder Ashworth. "Leave it to my firewall, it'll be fine. Hasn't it ever rung before?" I stood by, merely smiling silently. My firewall could handle intrusions of this level silently. Of course, no alarms were ever heard before Ethan could say more. Secretary Miller's voice grew even more panicked over the phone. "Ethan's firewall. It seems like it collapsed in less than a minute." Chapter 8, how is that possible? Ethan couldn't believe it, his entire body trembling slightly. I learned everything step by step from courses and instructors. How could there be a problem? "Oh, really? Which instructors?" My casual question instantly set Ethan off. He roared at me. "Shut up, which instructors are none of your business kicking me while I'm down now, huh?" I scoffed. It didn't take a genius to guess it was some fly-by-night online course, filling him with misplaced confidence after a couple of lessons. His company in San Francisco was probably just a front, too. What do we do now?" Vivian panicked. Although she managed this tech company, she was clueless about the technical side. But even more anxious than them was Elder Ashworth. "The firewall is gone?" Seeing the old man look like he might pass out again, I quickly stepped forward to support him. "Grandpa Ashworth, don't worry, the core system files still have my defenses. An alarm at this level can't breach that layer yet." Elder Ashworth grabbed my arm tightly, finally relaxing with a look of profound relief. Vivian, however, couldn't care less about our conversation now, frantically urging Ethan. "Ethan, hurry up and save the company. If the core data is leaked, we're finished." Forced into action. Ethan opened his laptop to try and salvage the situation, only to find it had already been compromised the moment it booted up. His entire screen displayed a provocative gesture from foreign hackers and a progress bar showing the data leak. What do I do? I don't know how to handle this." Ethan's face turned deathly white. He was utterly helpless. "It's over. It's all over." Watching helplessly as the data streamed out, Vivian knew she was ruined. She swayed on her feet. Desperate, she saw me standing calmly nearby and remembered I was also a programmer. She yanked me towards the laptop. "Sincere Clark, you know computers, right? You must know how to fix this." I looked at the screen. I did know how to fix it, but I didn't move. "Yes, I know, but I have nothing to do with you anymore, Vivian. Remember? You fired me just now. I'm no longer an employee of your company. You." Seeing her usual entitlement fail, Vivian was stunned, her face contorted with suppressed anger. "Can't you help just this once?" I held up 6 fingers and laughed. "You want me to do freelance work? Starts at 6 figures, no upper limit." Seeing my imperviousness, she was shocked by the price tag. Helplessly, she turned her gaze back to Elder Ashworth. But Elder Ashworth, relieved that the core files were safe, had no intention of intervening for her. Meeting her gaze, he snorted coldly. "Where do you get the nerve to trouble Mr. Clark? Years ago, he wasn't someone just anyone could hire, even outside the company. Do you think you can command him with a few words?" Vivian didn't understand why her grandfather suddenly treated me with such respect. It felt like he was talking about a completely different person. After a long pause, she mumbled, "Grandpa, what are you talking about?" Elder Ashworth looked at her, exasperated. "You blind fool," he scolded. Chapter 9, still thinks Sincere Clark is just an ordinary programmer. He's a top hacker I painstakingly recruited by calling in an old favor. Letting him marry you was doing you a favor." As Elder Ashworth explained, Vivian stood for a long moment, then finally spoke, her voice full of disbelief. "Him?" Elder Ashworth continued. "Yes, him, Sincere Clark. This was the excellent match I specifically found for you. And look what you're doing now. Carrying someone else's bastard child. You've utterly disappointed me." Vivian clearly hadn't grasped the gravity of the situation. The sheer volume of information left her stunned, but the way she looked at me had truly changed. Elder Ashworth explained further. "Did you really think I brought him here back then just to build a simple defense for your little company? Wasn't it?" Vivian was completely now. Elder Ashworth sneered. "That was secondary. The main purpose was to provide protection for a cooperative project between the Ashworth Corporation and official channels. If that information leaks, the consequences could affect the entire situation, you stupid woman." Hearing this, I nodded towards Vivian in confirmation. "The hackers attacking Ethan's firewall earlier were targeting the core files of that project. Breaching your company was just incidental." This revelation shocked Vivian. She couldn't believe there were so many hidden complexities. But how could such important files be kept? Ethan, unable to accept this, started to argue about the file location, but Elder Ashworth cut him off furiously. "Shut up, I'll deal with you and Vivian later. This is an utter disgrace to the Ashworth family." With the project safe for now, Elder Ashworth relaxed and grasped my hand, speaking softly. "Then I'll entrust it to you. Please keep a close eye on it from now on." I squeezed his hand back gently in acknowledgement. Elder Ashworth turned to get back into his car. Seeing him about to leave, Vivian rushed forward anxiously. "Grandpa, what about my company?" Elder Ashworth looked back from the car, perplexed. "You made this mess, you clean it up, weren't you so capable? Didn't want me managing you? You've got a child on the way and still have the face to ask me? Ashworth Corporation has more than just your one company." With that, the car door slammed shut. Vivian was completely stunned. Ethan's laptop finally died completely, unable to restart. Having watched the drama unfold, I prepared to leave as well. But Vivian grabbed my arm. Her face was desperate, her tone pleading. "Sincere Clark, I was wrong. I was blind. I shouldn't have treated you like that. I'm begging you. Please save the company's lost database." I pulled my arm free, coldly questioning her. "Why should I help you? Didn't you hear Grandpa Ashworth? Hiring me now starts at 6 figures. Besides, Vivian, you're not qualified to hire me. I stopped relying on your company's meager salary long ago." Vivian was speechless. After a long pause, her eyes welled up, and she forced out the words, her voice choked with emotion. "I'm willing to reconcile, okay? I really made a mistake. Please give me another chance." Ethan, snapping out of his stupor, rushed forward. "Vivian, you can't do this, slap, get lost." Vivian slapped Ethan across the face, cursing him. "You liar, get out of my sight." Ethan covered his cheek, disbelief etched on his face. Vivian didn't spare him another glance, turning back to me. "Sincere Clark, come back. I promise no one in the company will ever give you trouble again." I let out a short, sharp laugh. So she knew all along. But I didn't need it anymore. No need. I wish you and Ethan Garrett all the best. Hope you have a healthy baby soon. Chapter 10. A few days after returning home, I was disturbed by Vivian Ashworth again. "What do you want?" I asked impatiently upon opening the door. Vivian looked pale and weak, hesitating before finally speaking. "I received a summons from the court. Sincere Clark. How could you file for divorce against me?" I leaned against the doorframe, raising an eyebrow. "You committed adultery first. Of course I'm filing for divorces." Hearing this, tears immediately streamed down Vivian's face. "Can't you, for my grandfather's sake, help me just one more time? The company is really about to go under." I knew she was here for the same old reason. "Did you get Elder Ashworth's permission to come here?" Vivian, devoid of the arrogance she displayed when firing me, simply shook her head slightly. I called Elder Ashworth right in front of her, briefly explaining the situation and asking for his advice. The old man on the other end was silent for a moment, then let out a cold snort, clearly still angry. "Sincere, you decide for yourself." After hanging up, I refused her once more. Sorry, I have no intention of doing any more work for your company. Vivian obviously heard Elder Ashworth's stance. Her tears flowed like a broken dam as she choked out. Why? Grandpa is so unfair. I was always the most favored one growing up. And you, Sincere Clark, why are you so heartless? I even got rid of the baby for you. I shrugged, unmoved by her breakdown. This is the path you chose. Your current situation is your own fault. With a final word, I slammed the door shut. Sincere Clark, won't you just listen to one more thing? I really know I was wrong, please. No matter how much Vivian pounded on the door afterward, I didn't open it or respond. Vivian eventually staggered away. A few days later, it was announced that her branch of Ashworth Industries would be restructured and restarted. I knew the company hadn't gone bankrupt directly, likely due to Elder Ashworth's intervention. He ultimately hadn't abandoned this smaller company under the Ashworth Corporation umbrella. However, it seemed his actions weren't for Vivian's sake. As I heard, she was demoted to a basic-level employee. He likely intervened for the sake of that core project file. This small company still served a purpose. Elder Ashworth had other potential heirs besides Vivian. Treating her this way was also a message to me. Vivian, the potential successor, was finished, beyond rehabilitation. Ashworth Corporation would choose a new heir. Ethan Garrett was also targeted by Ashworth Corp., forced to return to his hometown with his tail between his legs, his future prospects destroyed. Sometime later, I received another offer from Ashworth, not from Vivian's small company, but a formal invitation from Ashworth Corporation headquarters. Invited once again by Elder Ashworth into the main Ashworth building, I assumed the role of network security manager. This way, Mr. Clark, please. Watching Elder Ashworth treat me with utmost respect, the surrounding employees' gazes towards me completely changed. I then noticed that the corrupt directors who embezzled funds had also been fired by Elder Ashworth. Among the rank-and-file employees, I saw Vivian. Tears streamed down her face as our eyes met, but I refused to hold her gaze for long. From then on, our paths diverged. Strangers once more.